Lazurus, episode 11, Running with the Devil. It ended with a bang last episode, and it's starting off with that same bang. So let's talk about it. Welcome back, you variant. So let me remind you that we are in the midst of an assassin fight. All right, the assassin from episode 10 showed up with a bang, dropping explosives, and is on his way to take out Axel. Axel, unknowingly, is on his way to pick up the doctor who gave him the experimental Hapna drug while he was in prison. Hirsch is explaining all this to him in the car as he's on the way. And he's like, yeah, I'm very familiar with that doctor. Definitely go pick him up and see what he knows. Before he can even get another 100 feet, traffic is stopped due to the assassin dropping a bunch of explosions, basically just dropping grenades everywhere. And Axel and him, like as soon as they see each other, you see it's like a they recognize each other, like it's immediate recognition what's going on. And the assassin just takes off running and just starts freaking dropping rounds into the freaking car with no hesitation. While this is going on, Doug and Elena are flying with his car to Islamabad because they got to hunt down Popcorn and figure out what Popcorn knows, because Popcorn's the one who's more or less hiding Skinner's heart signature, all the stuff that shows that he's still alive and all the monitoring stuff. So Doug notices that Elena is looking flush and is like, hey, are you good? She's like, yeah, I'm good. She goes to check her temperature on the watch. It's like 101 degrees Fahrenheit, but she says she's fine. And we got to kind of wait to see what happens with Elena, because we know that's not good. It could be side effects from Hapna at any point in time. Now, Hirsch ends up getting a call back at base that says Enscom HQ is sending a flight out to where Doug and Elena are. Hirsch heads out to investigate because she knows that Enscom is up to something, and she's going to go talk to Schneider because they already had some little funny dealings with in that conference meeting with Leland. So she got to go do damage control or negotiations or whatever it is to kind of figure out what's going on. But she takes the envelope, hands it to Leland, and says, hey, there's going to be a guy that shows up. Get this to him. I'm out. So she goes, takes off. Back on the highway, the assassin is again going in on Axel, like doing everything he can to try and take him out. And this guy's just dropping grenades as Axel is diving back and forth in the traffic, in the oncoming traffic on the other side of the lane. Again, the assassin is just dropping bombs. It seems like as much as we saw him doing more stealth takedowns and how he was quicker, faster, and just kind of doing stuff with like effortless ease, he's way more reckless this time around. He is just dropping bombs like it's cool, and he is just like on that relentless pursuit to get Axel. It seems like every time Axel gets away, the assassin is literally a half a step behind him every single time. So Axel eventually ends up dropping off the highway like several feet and ends up getting onto some kind of highway vehicle, and the assassin is right there, and they engage in hand-to-hand combat on the back of the moving vehicle, and they keep going. While this is going on, Hirsch arrives at Inscom, and she requests to speak to Lieutenant Schneider because, hey, she's not there for an appointment. She's there because she's about to pick a fight. Like, we got problems. We need to handle this right now because you're doing too much. When this happens, Abel shows up back at HQ, and he's looking for Hirsch, and he introduces himself to Chris, who doesn't know who he is, and Leland hands Abel the letter, and Abel realizes she's doing something reckless. Dang it. Good to go. Good to go. Axel and the assassin are still going at it. And again, this is a really good episode. They're continuing to fight. Several explosions are being set off, and this is getting the attention of the NSA. So that, which we know Abel is part of the NSA. So Elizabeth is kind of getting the notification. She's seeing what's going on. And while she sees what's going on, we actually see firsthand where Axel is fighting this guy. And he's the rope dart. This assassin has been relentless with this rope dart and really good with it, but Axel is catching the rope dart and calling him out, saying, hey, you're up to your same old tricks, same moves, nothing really new. So more kind of confirmation that they know each other, but where do they know each other from? All right. We see Hirsch, we jump back to Hirsch. She's confronting Snyder on everything, and she calls him out on his stuff and his activities, knowing that, she knows about what happened with Axel, with the Hapna, the experimental stuff. And Schneider decides, well, we're going to detain you here because, maybe for treason or something. I don't know. So she's pretty much staying in the boardroom in the same chair, and that's just where she's at while Schneider goes on. While this is happening, Axel sorry, Abel picks up on what Hirsch, has done, and he's starting to put things into play. And then he gets the stuff from Elizabeth that explains, hey, there's these explosions going off in the city, and they look at it, and it's Axel and the assassin in the midst of it. Abel immediately recognizes and says, that's got to be the Phantom Assassin. He's finally shown his face again. And he recognized that just from the back of his head or whatever the case be. So something's going on, or Abel has a lot of knowledge of whatever has happened with this person before. So take all that as you will. Jump back to Doug and Elena. They're being tailed. And while they're being tailed, we have to, they got to figure out how to deal with that. And Doug's like, I'm going to distract them. You make sure you get the popcorn wizard. Abel gives Chris free reign to go help Axel after they've seen him on the screen fighting the Phantom Assassin. And because she's like, can I use a rifle? He's like, you got free reign. Do what you got to do. Like, we got to make sure he comes back or he gets detained or whatever. Leland holds down the fort, and Doug makes a stop to surrender and see what's going on with the guys that are after Elena. When he does this, Elena is able to escape on the small little motorbike and get away, which is pretty. They keep all these kind of cool things in the back of their vehicles, and that's why they take their vehicles everywhere because they got all these extra attachments and stuff to it. I kind of them Transformers, Soundwave spit out his tapes. It's great. But Doug is there. He stops them. We see one of them see Elena getting away. He tries to jump in the car to go after her, but Doug jumps in front of the car, gets hit by the car, which wasn't the brightest thing, but he manages to get his gun out and shoot the tire out of the car and blow it up and stop it. So they're not able to give chase to Elena because they probably obviously can't work his car. It's probably got a special way that he works it. So they're kind of stuck. They got to come get picked up, but Doug passes out. So they're able to capture Doug. While this is going on, Axel continues the evasion, and he ends up taking a dagger to the wrist, more or less. And as they're doing this, we see the assassins speak, and they start talking about death. And Axel mentions how he's very close with death. They both are. They're used to it. So, okay, we got some more dialogue. We're getting some more. They're probably going to open up more as we go along. While we jump back to Elena, we see that she is physically struggling. Chris is closing in on Axel. Elena is physically struggling to get to Popcorn Wizard because of her high temp. But she does manage to track down Popcorn Wizard and flag her down. And Popcorn Wizard jumps out and looks at her and says, "Hey, Mad Screamer." So at that, and that's when Elena collapses. It's like, okay, they're real good friends apparently, freaking, because she was like excited to see her. Axel continues to avoid more explosions, and both him and the assassin end up on a small boat out on the river. And this is where they get more of a standoff because they start talking about Hundon. The necklace that Axel wears gave the assassin some kind of flashback where we see that his childhood was filled with death. We see that he was trained to be a faceless monster, some sort of assassin, which is what Hundon is. You think about freaking the little wings. If you've seen Shang-Chi, you see the little creature, little beast walking around with no face. It looks, it's just walking around with legs and little wings, whatever the case may be. That's what the Hundon is. Like that's what it looks like. It could be bigger or whatever, but the story behind it is that because it didn't have a face, apparently people tried to punch holes in it to maybe give it a face or something like that. It's some kind of Chinese mythology. And because of that, this thing became a faceless monster and apparently slaughtered a bunch of people or whatever the case may be. So that's part of the story in the background. And they were being trained, assume the assassin, maybe Axel as well. I don't know. And maybe that's where they know each other from, but they're being trained to be assassins or faceless monsters, which is why he is the way he is. He is faceless and he doesn't have any persona that they're able to track down. The only thing we know is Soryu that Abel says he has that name stored up from somewhere in his database that, and that's how he recognized them. So while all this is going on, they're fighting and they end up throwing weapons at each other. So you got a hatchet that goes into the thigh of the assassin, and you got a spear that goes through the gut of Axel. So they are jacked up. Remember, Chris is now closing in, so she ends up getting there right as the assassin stands up to take the axe out and go finish off Axel. But she comes up with the rifle, she starts firing, and basically he makes a run for it. So she's able to rescue Axel and get him out of there before stuff really gets bad. And it's like, oh crap, this is going down. And then we get the flash. 5 days left. So we're getting close to the wire. Skinner has got to be found soon. Otherwise, a lot of things are going to end. So, hey, you want to stay tuned for the conclusion? freaking make sure that you hit that Lazurus subscribe button. I don't know how many episodes the show is, but again, I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm assuming probably around 13, maybe at least. And is this like a one-off show? Is this going to be a continuation? Is there something else that's going to go? We won't know until we find Skinner and know if there's something else that's going to progress after this. But the fact is that we know Abel has more knowledge of things that we didn't know, as far as the assassin's identity to a degree, or at least what name he's been referenced in the past, and that Axel and the assassin also have some type of relationship. Whether they know each other's names or not, don't know, but that's where we're at. So that's all I got for this one. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button. It is more than appreciated every time you do. Drop comments and what you think was going on. Can't wait to hear about it. Can't wait to see what's going on in the next episode. So until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.